assassination facts. So we all know, unfortunately, Charlie Kirk was assassinated on September 10th, 2025, while speaking at a public event in Utah, at the University of Utah. The shooting was captured in a graphic video that I'm sure everyone has seen, and authorities confirmed premeditation through digital evidence, including text messages and apparently a Discord post where the suspect appeared to confess hours before his arrest. And these texts have now been made public. And
They're such bullshit.
yeah, I'm interested. I've read them, and I think
I'm
actually,
reading them right now because I read them earlier, but I remember reading them and I was like, isn't it so convenient that he confesses to everything exactly just the day of it happening and they get everything perfectly done? You know,
yeah,
a
that's
guy who's
very
smart,
interesting.
this guy is capable of getting a decoy to take the blame for him and get away from the FBI and such. But he also isn't thinks that deleting text is the good way, complete way of getting rid of them. You know what I mean? It's just all so fishy.
Yeah, it's definitely also fishy, and there were also the FBI's investigation, which is being led by Cash Patel, who actually had a viscerating oversight committee hearing. God, that was god awful.
This
Um,
Gash Patel.
yeah, Cash Patel was god awful, but his investigation has widened to include potential accomplices. With the Utah governor Spencer Cox sharing details on the motive, and
Spencer Cox.
I've from the things that have come out from the motive, we're gonna get to that as well. Um, but his arrangement is today, and he's going to be getting, I believe, the death penalty um, for what for the assassination of Charlie Kirk.
No,
So
the thing that makes me laugh about this, it is all it's sad seeing someone get murdered, and it is sad that, now someone's without their father and everything, which is, this is gonna impact the kids the most, honestly, which is the saddest thing of all.
yeah,
But, aside from all that, what I think is, back to what the investigation is saying and doing, I think it's funny how the governor, Spencer Cox, I love when someone's last name is Cox. It's actually one time you can appropriately say it in a conversation. That Spencer Cox was talking about how he was hoping that the person who did it wasn't like a purebred Utah person, but then he was like hoping it was like a foreigner or an outsider, someone from a different state at the very least. And he was like, but it's one of us. It's one of us. And now he's been like, and then he started to say like, oh, we shouldn't try to politicize this. And now he's been going to home and back to Rome and back to Beijing and back, talking about how this guy had a transgender boyfriend, girlfriend. I'm
yeah,
honestly not sure, but a transgender partner.
yeah,
And like I remember like watching like some news news briefings, and the guy was like, "Yes, it was a man transitioning to a female who they were dating, and it was a very loving relationship." And I'm like, I feel like there's this. This is strange how much time they're spending on a fact that doesn't matter at all. You know
yeah.
what I mean? Like if somebody,
There's a
like, if
lot of
they got,
focus on this.
yeah, if like after they detain the guy who shot JFK, and they're like, he always hated rhubarb pie. He hated it so much, his wife never cooked rhubarb pie. I'd be like, what does that have to do with anything? You know what I mean? It's because JFK hated rhubarb. It's a horrible example, but you get the point.
Yeah, I think it's like a red
It
herring.
doesn't actually like they're
Just to
trying
throw
to
it out
say
there.
it provides to the motive, like, oh yeah, this guy may have wanted to kill Charlie Kirk because of his partner being transgender. And it's just it really seems like that's the angle they're trying to argue here, of all
Yeah, it
things.
seems like that's what they're trying to argue. And Governor Spencer Cox has claimed that Tyler Robson held leftist ideologies, as you were saying, based on the Discord
Right,
messages,
like Golonez within a year, they
and
said.
even the messages that are written on the bullets. At first, individuals were reporting, transgender and leftist ideology, the catch this fascist, which everyone
What the
should
hell is
know that
IS code?
it's actually a hell divers what motto code, but would you say
How much
it's
the
code?
stratagem was that he put in.
So it's from a video game. So that's also not start that conversation of video
Did you
game.
just see did you say RFK said this increase in violence could be linked to video games?
Yeah,
Boomers,
I don't want
man.
to see that
Boomers.
because that is not the case. Because yeah, no, I feel like he just did it as like if let's just say he actually acted on his own with no other outside interest or theories, let's just say, then that to him is like a funny joke. Because in the text itself, I think it says, if he saw it come across the screen or something like that, he would, fall out or, like, have a heart attack or, like, like, in, like, sort of like an excitement for seeing it, like, in that nature.
Dude,
But,
the thing
yeah.
is, they're, like, orchestrating this as a play, you know what I mean? I remember this is a while ago, one of the top news agencies, I believe it was MSNBC. It was, like, a few years ago, more than half a decade ago, and they were interviewing, like, a supposed Mossad agent, and it was like, identity was covered, all black, voice was distorted, but the guy was basically talking about how in order to, like, do their operations where they need to sway public opinion or get some things done where they need to influence people, they'll hold like grand over the top, you know, plays for the people to be entertained by to sway their opinion. And it just kind of screams like that because this is where I'm going to start going down the theory hole, I should say. 3 hours after Kirk died, they blocked the Epstein files. And this is all meanwhile, like, all the Republican politicians who are toxically right on the internet. The thing is, like, I know a lot of people who are right-leaning, and I know, like, for example, I'm Muslim. I know these people don't hate Muslims. But then you see, like, people like Nancy Mace, Lauren Boebert, Randy Fine, and all they're talking about how, like, Islam is, like, a deadly, plague to the world. And then you see Bibi Netanyahu, who, mind you, Bibi Netanyahu was the first person to tweet about Charlie Kirk's death at
Yeah.
the same time as President Trump, actually a few seconds before President Trump. And so when I think about that, it makes me laugh how there is clearly an agenda that's being pushed with all this. And even after that happened, Bibi Netanyahu has posted dozens of tweets regarding this, which is strange. And the thing that he has tried to drive home the most is saying that Islam and radical leftism go hand in hand, and they will lead to destruction of America. And I'm like, dude, first off, Islam and radical leftism do nowhere near go hand in hand. Radical Islam is far right. You know what I mean? You talk to those terrorist groups in the Middle East, and they will not tell you far left leaning things. They're not going to be talking about communism. They're going to be talking about complete autocratic control
No, yeah.
of the state. You know what I mean? Which is far right. And which to be fair, the horseshoe theory kind of is kind of like that, but it's also that's where you get into authoritarian governments, how different they are, but how similar they can be.
No, yeah, definitely,
Then, like,
Mhm.
go ahead,
No,
go
you're
ahead,
right.
go ahead.
I was saying, digging more in, when it had first happened, we all saw, the tragic video. We
Oh
were
yeah, man.
we were playing Xbox and you were going to go get food and I opened my phone and I was like, "Jesus Christ, you like, is everything all right?" I was like, "Dude, Charlie Kirk just got shot right in the neck." And then that's when we both like were able to see that video and so forth. And then, as the shot happened, there was one individual who, cried out
Oh
and
yeah.
authorities actually grabbed them. So this was George Zen. So the elderly
The
man.
theory get this man just makes the theory so much more credible, in my opinion, that this is clearly something greater than just this kid being the decoy or the being the pinned on one.
No, yeah, but, like, and this is in court, documents. So, George Zen, he's the, elderly man that was first detained after the Charlie Kirk shooting, confessed to, possessing child pornography when he was arrested by the FBI, and he's now been charged by the FBI for, having those, despicable images on his phone. And, he also admitted, instinctively, he acted as a distraction to give the real shooter a chance to escape. But investigators have not been able to find any credible connection between the shooter and Tyler Stevenson's. I mean, Tyler Robinson. So it's interesting to see that you have an individual that, lashed out so loudly once this happened, distracted everyone, and that was basically the second thing you saw on the news. This old man in handcuffs,
You're talking about the
Daryl
shooter.
Zitinis, and I think he was like, I think he was saying like, "Kill me, kill me, kill me," or like, "Shoot
He
me,"
was saying,
something like
"Shoot
that.
me, shoot me."
Yeah, when they were like detaining him, picked him up, and like we're walking him out. So these are very small things that lead to individuals having this theory that it's a grander scheme going on behind what happened to um Charlie Kirk. Like even now you have prominent conservative talk show hosts such as Nick Fuentes, reporting that Kirk
Kuiper.
rejected, yeah, and Candace Owen, that they reject that Kirk rejected a $150 million offer from Netanyahu to actually buy Turning Point USA and turn it to a more pro-Israel stance,
Yeah.
including a re-education trip. Now, think about that re-education trip.
Dude, I'm convinced, I seriously mean this, I'm convinced there's some, like, magic behind that wall that, like, just does something to somebody's, like, spirit and mind that makes
Yeah.
them more easily influenced by Israel and, like, that Zionist evil group.
No, yeah, we're definitely we're gonna touch on that because that's another piece, as well. And Candace Owens detailed, threats at a Hamptons meeting with Bill Ackman and donors. And Bill Ackman is obviously denying this, but
Oh,
Kirk's
you know that?
included questioning Netanyahu's influence on Trump and opposing U.S. strikes on Iran. He started asking, the real questions. I think actually one of his last interviews with Ben Shapiro, he was saying, everyone's calling this a genocide. Like, can we be truthful about the facts? Like, we let the administration have it on Epstein. We let the administration have their own economy. It's like, is this like, actual, truth that, there is a genocide that's happening? That was his last formal interview before that assassination took place, unfortunately.
He actually had one with Megyn Kelly after that Ben Shapiro one.
Oh, yes, I
Yeah.
remember that one too. Yep.
Yeah, and that was, like, 2 days, I believe, 2 days. It was 2 days to 1 week before he got murdered, and on that interview, he was complaining about how he is not allowed to criticize Israel at all without being labeled an anti-Semite. He
Yeah.
said, "I can criticize Israel less as an American than Israelis and Israel can criticize Israel." He's like, "How does that make sense? How can I not criticize a foreign nation inside the land of the free speech?" And I've got this, we got this article here. This is from Press TV. Now, not a lot of major news stations are actually sharing this or talking about this at all. But before his death, because of his defiance of the Zionists, Kirk had become the target of a sustained private campaign of intimidation and free-floating fury by wealthy and powerful allies of Netanyahu, figures he described as Jewish leaders and stakeholders. And there's been multiple reports from people close to Kirk that he was fearing for his life. One of Kirk's friends recalled that the late youth leader was not only alienated by the hostile nature of their interactions, but frightened by the backlash of his defying Netanyahu. Just as Mikhail shared that Netanyahu actually tried to purchase it, which think about that. A foreign government trying to purchase a political movement group in America. It's ridiculous. They control it. That's how they do these things. That's how they influence the American public and get us to continue to sign on for all this pro-Israel nonsense. During the past year, the Trump insider was told by contacts in the White House that the Secret Service had caught the Israeli regime. This is now related to Israel and how they treated the president of the United States and Boris Johnson. So it was caught that the Israeli regime tried to place electronic devices on emergency response vehicles on 2 separate occasions while Trump was president, and the Secret Service caught it. And while Grayson was unable to confirm the story of the Secret Service or the White House, such an incident would not have been unprecedented because, indeed, according to reporting on Politico, citing 3 former senior U.S. officials, a cell phone spying device was placed by Israeli agents near the White House and other sensitive locations around Washington towards the end of Trump's first term. And on top of that, former UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson recounted a similar incident in his memoir, writing that his security team found a listening device in his bathroom soon after Netanyahu used his personal toilet. The reports that the Israeli leader ordered the assassination of Kirk is so strong that the Netanyahu was compelled to explicitly deny that the Tel Aviv regime was behind the killing, which, yeah, he multiple times said, "We haven't done this. It's anti-Semitism. You guys think we did this? Of course we haven't done this." Kirk was a strong friend of Israel. And then we start learning about how much Kirk was rejecting Israel, how much Kirk said no to Netanyahu, how much pressure was on Kirk by these Zionist Jewish supremacist donors like Bill Ackman and more. it really doesn't look good. And the 4 days before the assassination, frustration, this is the big one. Frustration among pro-Israel commentators bubbled over in public during a Fox News interview in which the Israelis' premier influence in the United States, Ben Shapiro, launched a chilling attack on Kirk without naming him. Now, that's similar to Laura Loomer, another prominent Zionist figure in media, in the independent media realm, who is extremely pro-Israel, and also a week before Kirk's death said that he should not be considered a Republican because he is not loyal to Trump enough. And then she has since deleted that tweet, but this is just a lot of clear signs that the Zionist movement was not happy with Charlie Kirk. And the Turning Point USA was really propped up when in its beginning stages by Jewish donors, Zionist donors, who were the ones who were paying for this because they saw it as a way to keep American Republican and Israeli relations positive and high, which it was for a time. And then the guy who leads it starts to change his mentality because he starts to see what's going on. You know what I mean? And then all of a sudden, he's not there anymore. And the craziest thing about this is two things. Damn, one, Ben Shapiro immediately hosted his show the next day. Not the next day, a few days after. The first show of the Charlie Kirk show was hosted by Ben Shapiro.
Yeah.
And the second thing,
They basically
um,
taking it over now.
basically, yep, yep.
Yeah,
The
taking it
Charlie
over.
Kirk dies, Charlie Kirk, the Christian leader of the Christian movement dies. Ben Shapiro, the Jewish Zionist, steps in to take control of it. What does that mean? Why him? And then two, so the story behind why Tyler Robinson was chosen to be as the suspect of the shooting was because the story is he told his father, and then his father told this priest in a confession, and the priest told law enforcement, who then arrested Tyler Robinson. Tyler Robinson, since being arrested, has denied that he's done it, and which is completely against what the texts say, has denied that he's done it, and even if he already admitted to doing it, denies that he's done it. I hate to repeat that a third time, but he's also uncooperative with officials while he's locked up. So, and I think another important thing to note is that the FBI had a $200,000 reward out for the shooter immediately after the shooting was announced, and then the guy got turned in the next day, 2 days later. Bill Ackman, the same Zionist Jewish billionaire who was pressuring Kirk at the closed door Hamptons meeting a week before he was killed, that Candace has reported on and multiple others have reported on, he gave a $1 million reward to the boy's father. What, dude? That's hush money.
Yeah, and I
That's
think
hush
they were
money.
saying that, like, they have so they were saying I think the legality behind it is, like, the way, like, the anonymous tips work with the money, if it obviously leads to the arrest of the individual, they do have to give them that money, but however, if they find out that the individual who received that money has any connection to the, perpetrator, then that's also null and void as well. So obviously, if something comes out that he had some connection or somewhat helped his son, or there's somehow turn yourself in, I'll get the reward money, even though it's not something like that of that nature happens. The FBI has the right to